and welcome to another Valheim video. It's been about 4 months since my last video, and a fair amount has happened in that time. In the last video, if you remember, the old Hussars shared server had been restarted in preparation for the Mistlands update appearing, and I took the opportunity to explore some of the buildings within it and the bases. Well, the Mistlands update has now dropped, and one of the things that's changed as a result of that is that the way land masses are generated was modified to cater for the Mistlands. So on the back of that decision, we had a discussion about what to do with the Hussars shared server. Do we carry on with the existing server and leave everything as it was, or do we create a brand new server to take advantage of the changes? The decision was made to do the latter, and this is the brand new server. Part of this was helped by the discovery of a mod that would enable us to copy existing base structures and paste them into a new location, or indeed in this case onto a new world. The mod had some limitations. It didn't deal particularly well with underground areas, and also there was a limit to the area it could copy, so the larger bases couldn't be brought forward as they were. However, most of the bases were able to be copied. We also decided that in an effort to keep the extent of the village manageable and able to be fortified through a wall, as you can see here that we've built around it, we would limit the size of the base buildings that people were building. So the idea was, if they wanted to build a larger base, they could do that somewhere else and then build a smaller base structure in the village and use portals to move around between the two. Some people took advantage of that, myself included, while others have just built a reasonably sized place in the village and left that. This is the main village square. The village opens out onto a large inner bay to the north and to areas of black forest and meadow to the south. And as you can see here, this is the roundhouse. This is the building that I had copied. It used to be on a hill with a couple of underground levels, and because of the way that the blueprint tool worked, it couldn't be copied exactly as it was, so we had to dig a bit of a hole in this stone circle and place it in there, which is why it's slightly raised compared to the previous version. So I've had to build up the outsides of it to cover the first basement level. As you can see, I've also added an iron gate and darkwood gates. Part of the reason for that was because when we first built the village buildings, we didn't have the wall around it, so monsters tended to spawn in the middle and attack people's bases. Going inside, you can see that the internal layout is pretty much the same as it was for the ground level. I've moved things around to cater for new resources, but apart from that, not much has changed. One thing that has changed, however, is the staircase. I removed the original staircase and replaced it with this spiral staircase, which is one of the new resource types and build types from the Mistlands update. And there used to be a door at the back there going outside to the windmill and smelter and other crafting bits and pieces. That's no longer there, again because of the limitations of where it was placed, so all of those structures are now in my external base, which I called Fish Slap. The first basement level, as you can see, still has the upgrades for the crafting benches, a bit of storage and a couple of new crafting benches, again from Mistlands. Down below here we have the bed and various chests for treasures and other bits and pieces, and this area in the corner that I've made into an armoury. Apart from that, it's pretty much the same. The portal that you saw there is one that goes to the new base, the Fish Slap base, which is a replacement for the original hall and trophy hall that I used to call Coast. And upstairs, this is a portal hub. That hasn't changed much, although most of the portals have been moved to Fish Slap, so the ones that are remaining, for the most part, are temporary ones. And as you see up the steps, we have the familiar look of the stave, no longer surrounded by a huge palisade. Pretty much the same as it was before. The portals have changed, but it's basically a portal hub, with the upstairs bit being portals specific to the boss locations. Of course, they all had to be rediscovered, but we've managed to do that. We've also found Yagluth and defeated Yagluth, which enable us to start exploring the Mistlands areas. And this is the original building, Ploppy's and Skippy's first building on the old server, which was changed into a town hall. The cartography table there is exceptionally useful to discover areas that other people have explored and add them to your map. We have a little bit of a dock there, and then this is Ploppy's building. This was one of those that originally was built outside the town hall. I think it was far to the north of the original place, but he's brought it in here, built up the foundations and added extensive areas. As you can see, a hall there, crafting area, various storage bits, and then upstairs he's put lots of portals to other areas that he's explored around the map. And over behind the town hall we have Dingo's place. This was built from scratch. Dingo had only recently started playing the game before the old server was replaced. And he's built this up over time, gradually replacing it with a large stone building. He does like very extensive stone buildings, as you can see from the size of this hall. Upstairs he has his portal hub, and then downstairs is crafting and storage. Dingo's another one of those who created a large base away from the village. It looks, well, the main building of it is very similar to this, but then he's expanded it greatly for farming purposes. Originally he had a moat surrounding this and has recently replaced it with the stone marble wall you can see there. And this building is another one that should look familiar to you. This is the Toft. This is Smoke's building. And a wandering chicken. The Toft was originally one that was built on multiple levels, so it was following the contours of a hill with the upper area at the top of the hill. Inside you can see this is unchanged, portals around the wall here, and then a main storage area. Upstairs, large hall area. I'm sure there used to be a table there. And his extensive collection of different arrows. And then the top level is the beds, and as I said, it used to lead out onto the top of the hill. He's obviously had to modify that since having this building placed here. And over to the south of the stave, this is Zuraf's building. This was one of the first ones, I think, that was built here. I'm pretty sure that this wasn't transposed. This was one that he built up from scratch, although it's possibly the original one was copied. I know he hadn't built extensively at the time the new server came into being. Zuraf hasn't been on for some time, which is why this looks quite bare and doesn't have any of the new fancy things from the Mistlands. And over here we have Skippy's building. I'm pretty sure this used to be the Leaning Tree, which again was a base to the north of the main village. But I think the Leaning Tree originally had at least two buildings. There was this one, I think, and then one that was a great hall with various portals in, which I don't think he's copied. And again, that's one of the advantages of having this whole area secured by the external wall, is that you don't need everybody to have moats around their bases to protect them from raids. Skippy did most of the building of the stone wall around the village, and this was one of his gatehouses that he built. There's actually two of them, this one to the south and then one over to the east. Over here we have Oak Maiden's house. Oak Maiden also had a character called Ember on the previous server with an extensive castle. This was supposed to be effectively an entrance foyer with the stairs going up either side to a large hall that extended backwards. But unfortunately, as you can see, when the wall was built, it came too close to enable her to do this. And over here we have the building of one of Skippy's children, Captain Bananas. Having built this, he became quite obsessed with the idea of lox racing, so built a huge racetrack that I'll show you in another video. Never quite finished it, unfortunately, and we haven't raced any loxes. And this is Doc Leech's building. And over here, as mentioned previously, you've got the East Gate. This leads on to a path that goes through the Black Forest to the coast, and there is a dock there that enables us to move large quantities of iron from the swamplands to the south up and down via ship. Because of course when you start from scratch you need huge quantities of iron. And interestingly, a lot of the items from the Mistlands also require iron rather than black metal. Black marble is another Mistlands resource. I decided that there needed to be a sort of central feature of the green, which is why I planted the acorns to make the oak tree and then put the Yule trees around it. So this is the last building in the village. This is Snow Cows. Originally he built a single hall over on this promontory, which you can see here. This was the first part of the hall, and then he's gradually expanded it ever since. He also replaced the roof from thatch to darkwood shingle, and as you can see he's also added a lot of black marble around, including creating this rather ominous looking pyramid with a bonfire on top. And having created this base and expanded it a bit, he decided to create this bridge, the walkway from the promontory back to the main village. And his most recent addition was this building, which is a combined storage area and crafting area for some of the new workstations. So that is the village. A few people have taken advantage of the exploration of other parts of the world to build other bases, and I will be looking at some of those in the next video. That's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you soon.